What's up guys, Phantom here back with episode 56 of my F1 2019 career mode as we are going to Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix for round 13 of season 3. As you can see there, we have a downforce upgrade for our front wing there, as it should help us a lot as we are still the third best team on the grid in terms of car performance, but we are inching forward as we also have a major upgrade for power, so that should help us as we go to qualifying.
It's qualifying time at Spa, one of the mightiest tracks on the Formula One calendar. Long straights, up and downhill, Eau Rouge as well. This track isn't for the faint-hearted. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction, and over the course of a lap it's easy to get that balance wrong, and that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now and it never gets any easier.
As we start out here in qualifying 2, it is once again raining for probably the 6th or 7th time this year in qualifying, as it has been ridiculous this year. As we come across the line to start our flying lap, as this time we're actually on intermediates and not on dry tires like we normally are. As we come into La Source, we kind of slide there, and as we come up to Eau Rouge, we're going to cut to the last chicane here as Leclerc has set the fastest lap of qualifying so far, as we come through and make sure not to spin it on the exit there. As we come across, set the fastest lap of the time, but we will only be 13th on the grid, as Raikkonen, who's 5 tenths ahead of us, will move on to Q3 as we move on to the race.
Who doesn't love the Belgian Grand Prix? It's the race, of course, that gave maiden pole positions to the Jordan and Force India teams, with Rubens Barrichello and Giancarlo Fisichella respectively. Jordan, of course, would then go on to better that here in 1998 with their first ever victory. And you can guarantee that something special will always happen at Spa-Francorchamps. But what that something is today is anybody's guess. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Let's talk about old-timer. No grid penalties, no mitigating circumstances, just a poor qualifying performance and a very disappointing start position for them today.
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Sainz, Romain Grosjean, and Faber, Raikkonen, Leclerc, Verstappen, and Kevin Magnussen. Norris, Oldtimer, Daniel Ricciardo, and Stroll, Kvyat, Butler, Antonio Giovinazzi, and George Russell, Hülkenberg, and Sergio Perez completes our grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
As we sit here on the grid in P12 after Perez's penalty has set him back to last, as the 5 lights are on and they are out, as we are looking to get to the inside, as Ricciardo has got an absolute launch off as we come down the inside, and we're going to get dragged around the corner by Norris there, as that actually helped us out there a little bit the turn, as we will settle into P11, as we're going to have to live off here a little bit, or we'll run into the AI as we get a little bit of a twitch on and we kind of cut Ratty on there. So we get an absolute run down the back stretch here as we kind of tap the wall there, but we are boxed in behind Leclerc and Norris. But we are so quick, as Magnussen jumps down the inside of both of them as we kind of tag Norris there, but we are super quick in a straight line. As you can see here, we don't have very much aero on, as we kind of ran into the gravel there a little bit, as we're going to keep it around the outside of Ricardo there, which means we're going to have the inside for this left-hander, as we will stay in 11th here, as with no DRS there, we're still going to be able to pull up to Norris here and pull around his outside here, as there are yellow flags, as there is a big pile up there. It is France all over again from season 2, as it looks like really nobody's out of the race, as we kind of run wide there a little bit, but it looks like Vettel has locked up into Hamilton, as he's kind of spun across the track there a little bit and taken out Bottas, as that is basically held the whole grid up, as Grojean gets it through and we get through, as it looks like they're kind of stuck there. But it looks like the McLaren will also get through, but this looks to be Verstappen, who did not get through, as he goes off the track, as you can see here, as this looks to be Giovinazzi, who's gotten slammed, as it looks like all the cars without their wings are going wide there and almost running into the wall there, being pretty erratic. As we come on to lap 3, we're going to set the fastest lap here, as we are chasing down Grojean here, as he briefly sets the fastest lap, which we have surpassed him.
Next time you come in, check your MFD for a new strategy option. Copy.
So we are going to pit a lap later there, as Vettel has set the fastest lap of the race, so that means he has no wing damage, as we get DRS from all the way back here. We can just see how fast we are in a straight line, as we're going to look a little bit inside and then go around the outside of Grojean here, who's on course to set his first podium of the season here, as we're going to try to switch back on him and go down the inside here of the long 180 degree corner, but we were not able to do it, so we have to wait until Stavilo 2, which means we'll have an absolute run down here, as he kind of blocks us off there a little bit, as we will have the inside here for Blanchimont, which will turn to the outside for the bus stop chicane, as we are pretty far ahead, so we will be in pretty good position, as we've made the move stick and it is up into P2 here, as it is raining a little bit harder now, as it will rain a little bit harder towards the end of the race, as Hamilton is coming in, and we look as Grojean has stayed out as well here, as halfway on the lap 7 we took a look at Hamilton, as he's put on the medium tires, so going on to lap 7, our new pit stop lap, I decided to go in, as Grojean has looked to stay out, so we will slow down, make sure we don't get a penalty here. So my issue now is Grojean, I think, is going to risk it to try to stay out and hope that it gets, you know, pretty wet there, so he can easily stop for inters, as it is going to be very close to whether we have to put on inters or not, as we come into the pit, as we briefly get passed there by Hamilton. As we come out of the pit stop, we will pass Hamilton even with our pretty slow entry there, as we come up to the Kimmel Straight, as Vettel, who is also not stopped, has passed Hamilton, as he will be looking at us as he kind of goes down our inside here into coming up to the Blanchimont corner, as he kind of brakes there or lifts off, and so he will be on the defensive into the bus stop. As we look around the outside here, as Grojean has stayed out, as Vettel is just holding us up right now. He got past us pretty easily and is just absolutely holding us up here, as we're going to go around the outside of the source, and we just completely lock up and we don't even turn here. But as we come all the way down to the Kimmel Straight here, as our top speed is just, it's OP right now, as we're going to look around the outside of Vettel, but we just don't have the grip to make that move stick, as our teammate Raikkonen is in the pits here. As we go pretty far out there, we definitely don't have the tires, as Grojean has come in, and so we're going to go with Vettel, as I think Hamilton is also going to come in with us, as we will come into the pits, make sure not to speed, as it looks like Grojean, who's going to leave the pits about 20 seconds ahead of us, will steal his first win of the race. But the battle right now is in the pit stops as we come in, and we will have a 2.2, but we will beat Vettel out of the pit stops, which is crucial since he pretty much had more pace on us than we did, as he's coming up to the bus stop here on lap 10 here out of 11, coming onto the final lap as we're going to kind of force our way down the inside there after taking the defensive line, as we have crossed him over here, as there's not any DRS anymore since pretty much all of us have put on intermediates, as we're going to look around the outside of Vettel here like we tried on lap 8 or 9 there, as we've gone around his outside as we cut to the straight here, as we were able to keep him at bay as with our top speed, as Grojean has won a race. A man who cannot even get anywhere near the top 3 teams has managed to win a race here, as we will look to hold off Vettel for P2, as we will come home P2, which is pretty good considering we finished 13th, that we qualified 13th.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
So, another excellent win from Ferrari. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari. So, let's review the driver's standings. Sebastian Vettel will be very happy with that result as he extends his championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to Old Timer. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Our championship leaders retain their position, but their lead is shrinking. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.